Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be taking a look at a motivational speaker who has a lot to say about reaching our full potential. And I think a really great place to start is, well, they start with this question: what kind of seed is in you?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be trying to unpack today. And we're going to be using an excerpt from one of their talks to kind of guide us.
Right.
I'm really excited to dive into this. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because they use this acorn analogy right off the bat. And it's really simple,
Okay.
but it's really effective and thought-provoking.
Give it to me. I'm ready.
Well, so, an acorn has three parts, right?
Yeah.
The stem, the cap, and the seed.
Yeah.
And the stem, they relate that to our legacy, our heritage, everything that came before us.
Oh, like our roots.
Exactly. The foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cap, that's the things that protect us and support us, mentors, family, friends, society, things like that.
So they're like shielding us from the elements until we're ready.
Yeah, until we can go out on our own, exactly.
But what about the seed? That's the most important part, isn't it?
And that's where it gets really interesting because they say that the seed represents our potential
Okay.
and the blueprint for what we can become. But they also believe that everyone is intentionally created with a specific purpose.
Hold on. Intentionally created.
Right.
It's not just random chance.
Well, that's what's so powerful about this idea. It's suggesting that we're not just wandering aimlessly.
Right.
There's a reason we're here. We have something specific to contribute.
Okay, I like that. But how do we figure out what that purpose is? How do we know what kind of seed we are?
That's where this idea of, knowing thyself comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But they say we need to go even deeper than that, beyond just comparing ourselves to others, and really understand our own unique nature.
So it's not about trying to be like someone else.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what makes you, you.
But how do we do that? Where do we even start?
Well, they highlight a few key areas to focus on. First, there's how you're smart. Now, this doesn't just mean your IQ.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding your strengths, what comes naturally to you, what you're good at.
So there are different ways to be smart.
Exactly. And then there's your values, what's important to you.
Right.
What principles guide your decisions.
I see.
This is about understanding your core beliefs, what motivates you.
Okay, so we've got our smarts, we've got our values.
Right.
What else?
Well, then there's this concept of personal velocity.
Personal velocity.
Yeah, so it's basically the pace at which you naturally operate.
Okay.
Some people are really high energy and fast-paced, while others are more deliberate and take their time.
Oh, I know people like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely more go, 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 but some of my friends are much more laid back.
Right. And neither one is better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding your own rhythm and working with it.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let me just recap. We've got our strengths, our values, our personal velocity.
Right.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, there's a couple more things. They talk about this idea of background imprint.
Background imprint, what's that?
Basically, it's recognizing how your past experiences, both good and bad, have shaped who you are today.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we realize it or not, those experiences leave a mark on us.
Right, like we all have baggage.
Yeah, but it's not always negative.
I guess so.
It's about understanding how those experiences have influenced your beliefs, your fears, and your motivations.
So acknowledging that we have these imprints can help us move forward.
Exactly. It's about breaking free from any negative patterns that might be holding you back.
Okay, so we've got our smarts, values, personal velocity, and background imprint. What else is there?
Almost there. There's also your behavioral style.
Oh, okay.
So how you come across to others, are you outgoing or more reserved?
Oh, yeah. That's so important to be aware of, especially at work.
Absolutely. And then finally, there's the idea of recognizing patterns in your choices. Like, are there certain things you tend to do over and over again?
Oh. Like if I keep making the same bad decisions over and over.
Well, it doesn't have to be bad,
Right.
but just noticing those patterns can help you make more conscious choices in the future.
So it's all about getting to know ourselves really well, like creating a personal user manual.
I love that. Yeah, it's like putting together all the pieces of the puzzle to see the whole picture.
Okay, so we're starting to get a handle on this knowing thyself thing.
Right.
But what do we do once we've figured out what kind of seed we are? How do we actually, nurture it and help it grow?
That's a great question, and that's where their personal story comes in.
Ooh, I love a good story.
They talk about their own transformation from being an ordinary government clerk to becoming a successful speaker and trainer.
Wow, that's a big change.
And it all started with some advice they got from Earl Nightingale, who was this famous motivational speaker.
Okay.
Nightingale said that if you spend just 1 extra hour every day studying your chosen field, you can become a national expert in 5 years or less.
Whoa, just 1 hour a day.
Yeah, pretty amazing,
Great
right?
travel.
And they took that advice to heart, started dedicating extra time to learning about human development, and you know what? They ended up selling Nightingale's training materials.
No way.
Yeah, they completely transformed their life by following that one piece of advice.
That is so inspiring. It shows that even small things can make a big difference if you're consistent.
Mhm.
But was it really that simple, just putting in the time? What about talent?
Well, they don't say talent doesn't matter,
Oh, okay.
but they emphasize that consistent effort and dedication are really what drives success, even if you don't feel naturally gifted.
So it's about nurturing what we have, not just relying on what we think we're good at.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
It's about providing that seed with what it needs to grow.
So we've talked about understanding ourselves, the power of consistent effort, but I'm curious, how does this tie into making a difference in the world?
Hmm, good question.
Like, is the goal just to become an expert, or is there something more?
Well, that brings us to one of their core beliefs.
Okay.
They believe that everyone has the capacity to make the world a better place,
I like that.
regardless of where they are in their development.
So we all have something to offer, no matter what.
Exactly.
But what does that look like? How can we actually make a difference?
Well, remember they talked about those everyday acts of kindness and contribution.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It could be as simple as encouraging a friend, helping a neighbor, or even picking up trash.
Oh, I see.
It's about using your abilities to make a positive impact, no matter how big or small.
Right. It's the little things that add up.
Exactly. And as we grow, our capacity to make a difference grows too.
Like that acorn analogy, from a tiny seed to a whole forest.
Exactly.
I love that image.
Yeah.
So we've gone from the acorn to the oak tree. We've talked about understanding our potential, nurturing it, but how do we make sure we're actually making a difference with it?
Well, to help with that, they offer this really interesting question.
Yeah, what is it?
They ask, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do?
Wow, that really makes you think.
Right. It's about checking in with yourself, making sure your actions are aligned with your aspirations.
It's like holding ourselves accountable to our best selves.
Yeah, being intentional about our choices.
But I think a lot of people, myself included, feel like there's such a big gap between who they are now and who they want to be.
I understand that. But remember, personal growth is a journey, not a destination.
Right, we're always evolving.
Exactly. And this question is just a tool to help us be more mindful of that journey.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about being aware and trying our best.
Exactly. And the more we practice aligning our actions with our aspirations, the more natural it becomes.
It's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I like that.
Yeah.
And over time, those qualities we aspire to become more and more a part of who we are.
So it's not just about achieving a goal, it's about becoming the kind of person who embodies those values naturally.
Exactly. And that's when we truly start to make a difference, when our actions come from a place of authenticity.
I really like that.
Yeah.
This has been such a great conversation already. We've covered so much ground, from the acorn analogy to knowing ourselves to the power of consistent effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what ties it all together is this idea of making a meaningful contribution to the world.
It's not just about personal growth for its own sake. It's about using our unique gifts to leave the world a little better than we found it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect place to maybe take a little break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we can delve a little deeper into some practical ways we can actually do that, put all this knowledge into action.
Sounds good to me.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break.
So, we were just talking about how everyone has the capacity to make a difference.
Right.
And I think that's such an important message, especially in today's world, It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the problems out there.
But this idea that each of us, no matter who we are, can contribute something positive, it's really empowering.
It is, and it goes back to that whole seed analogy.
Right. Like even the smallest seed can grow into something amazing.
Exactly. And it's not just about personal growth. It's about using that growth to make a difference in the world around us.
So it's not enough to just understand ourselves and work on our own development.
Right. It's about taking that knowledge and using it to make a positive impact.
But I'm still curious, how do we actually do that? What are some practical ways we can make a difference?
Well, remember they talked about those everyday acts of kindness and contribution? Those are a great place to start.
Okay.
It's about using your unique abilities and talents to, contribute to something bigger than yourself.
So it's not about waiting for some big opportunity to come along.
No, it's about finding those little moments every day where you can make a difference.
But how do we know we're on the right track? How do we make sure our actions are actually aligned with our aspirations?
That's where their question comes in handy again.
The how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do question.
Exactly. It's like a little check-in.
Right, to make sure we're living up to our own ideals.
Yeah, and it can be tough, because sometimes it feels like there's such a big gap between who we are now and who we want to be.
Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes.
But remember, personal growth is a journey, not a destination.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And that question is just a tool to help us along the way.
So it's not about beating ourselves up if we don't always get it right.
No, it's about being mindful and making an effort to align our actions with our aspirations.
And the more we do that, the easier it becomes, right?
Right. It's like any skill, the more you practice, the better you get at it.
It becomes more natural.
Exactly. And over time, those qualities we admire, they become more and more a part of who we are.
So it's not just about achieving a goal, it's about becoming the kind of person who embodies those values.
Precisely. And that's when we truly start to make a difference, when our actions come from a place of authenticity.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Me too.
We've explored so much, from understanding ourselves to the power of consistent effort.
And it all comes back to this idea of making a meaningful contribution to the world.
Using our unique talents and abilities to leave the world a little brighter than we found it.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important message to remember.
I agree, and I think that's a perfect note to, kind of wrap things up on.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
But I think the most important takeaway is that everyone has the potential to make a difference.
Right.
It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being willing to grow, to learn, and to use what we have to make a positive impact.
And to keep asking ourselves that question, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do?
Yeah, that's such a powerful tool for self-reflection and for keeping us on track.
It is, and it's something we can use in every area of our lives.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you found it as insightful as I did.
Me too. It's been a pleasure.
It's amazing how much we've unpacked in this deep dive, From understanding ourselves to the power of consistent effort to making a difference. But for me, it's this idea of aligning our actions with our aspirations.
Right, that really resonated with me too.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of, the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that question they ask, how would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do? It's a powerful reminder, isn't it?
It is. It's like a check-in to make sure we're living in accordance with our values.
And it's almost like having a compass or a guide.
Exactly.
Helping us navigate all the complexities of life and stay true to ourselves.
Right, because we're all on this journey, and we have the power to choose the direction we want to go in.
But it all starts with that inner work, right?
Yeah, understanding ourselves, nurturing our potential, making choices that align with who we want to be.
And it's a process, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not about reaching some perfect end state. It's about constantly evolving and becoming more aligned with our true selves.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
And it's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Right. Making those small, consistent efforts to move in the right direction.
It's like planting a seed.
Yeah.
You might not see the results immediately, but with consistent care and attention, it eventually grows into something beautiful.
And that's the thing. Everyone has that potential, that seed within them.
Right. It doesn't matter where you come from or what your skills are.
It's about nurturing that potential and allowing it to blossom.
That's such a hopeful message.
It is, and it's a reminder that we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Our individual actions can have a ripple effect.
Yeah, creating positive change in the world around us.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I hope you'll hold on to that sense of possibility. Remember the power of self-discovery, nurture your potential, and make choices that reflect your highest aspirations.
And keep asking yourself that question. How would the person I'd like to be do the things I'm about to do?
Let it be your guide as you navigate your own journey of growth.
And make your unique contribution to the world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep growing.